This is Showtime Sean Porter.
This is Aerosmith Jr.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse Vargas.
And you're watching True School Sports.
You're watching True School Sports.
And you're watching True School Sports.
Stay tuned.
Just shameless plug. Go down the comment section, alright? You'll see it. And go to the official True School Sports merch store to get yourself a hoodie like this or a tank top like this. It's great stuff. If you get one of these True School Sports shirts, I guarantee you, your success with women will quadruple. Guaranteed. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, in this particular video, I had time to think about it. I was out of town this weekend. I was on a business trip out, and for those of you wondering where I'm at, now that I'm back home, I can tell you I was in the great state of Texas. I was in Dallas, Texas this weekend. I was out there on a business trip doing some things for True School Sports that are going to help improve the channel moving forward. So shout out to my man Felipe. Thank you, Felipe, for a great weekend. Yeah, and I was in Dallas, Texas, but you knew it was coming. Like I'm a man of my word. I talked a lot of shit in the lead up to this fight, saying that Jason Rosario would win. Obviously, I made that very clear many times. I made that clear to anybody who would listen to me going into the fight on where I stood going into the fight, that I thought Rosario would win. I thought that he hadn't been proving it at such a rate on a fight-by-fight basis, and I didn't think Jermell Charlo was going to be able to mentally compose himself long enough to walk Jason Rosario in to some of the shots he walked him into. But let's just eat some crow for a second here on True School Sports. Let's eat some crow, because we got to give Jermell Charlo his flowers. We got to give Jermell Charlo his just due. We must give Jermell Charlo, a.k.a. Lil Charlo, a.k.a. Iron Man, a.k.a. Mr. Keep One in Your Mouth. We got to give him all the credit in the world, because from the first round, really, he made a statement in the first round. He caught Rosario coming in with a left hook right here on the temple, dropped him, and he planted that seed early that, hey, I'm going to be dangerous for all 12 rounds, right? So then what I found interesting about Jermell Charlo, and this is why I think he's really improving, what I found interesting was the fact that, I'm going to say it was from like rounds 3 to rounds 5. No, basically from round 3 to the rest of the fight, it seemed like Jermell Charlo was just experimenting with what Rosario would react to, because Rosario brought relentless pressure. Rosario threw caution to the wind. Rosario was very much in the fight, and he was trying to burst the proverbial pipes of Jermell Charlo with the pressure he was putting on him. And credit to him, he was having some success. He was landing some shots to the body, but Jermell was willing to trade in some of those rounds just to see what Rosario would react to. And then the shots came. And this showed a lot of maturity on the part of Jermell Charlo. This showed mental poise, mental fortitude. It showed the maturation of Jermell Charlo, because I'm starting to think that, what he's saying is correct. The Tony Harrison fight, the first fight, was the best thing that ever happened to him, because I feel like, and I was talking about this yesterday with my boy Felipe out there in Dallas when I was there yesterday. I was starting to think they plateaued. I was starting to think that there was no better that Jermell Charlo could get. He was a champion. He had done some good things in boxing, but he wasn't going to improve. And then they robbed him in the Tony Harrison fight, and he was humble enough to go back to the gym and work on some things to improve himself. And he did improve himself. So I give him all the credit in the world, man, because Rosario is a tough fighter. Rosario, I had a chance to watch him train with my own 4 eyes many times going into this fight, and he was very ready for this fight. He was very prepared. So Charlo will be the guy, I think. A lot of people are going to slag Rosario off and say he's garbage now, but I think as time goes on, Rosario, this win will age very well. I'm going to say it like that. Jermell said so many things, man. Jermell had so many quotables before and after the fight that I think are so relevant to where he's at this point in his career. Before the fight, he was talking about how, he has that old school mentality. He's one of them old school fighters. And I'm starting to believe it. After the fight, he was talking about how if you're a fighter and you didn't get your training done during COVID-19, during all the quarantine stuff, don't try to get it done during the bubble because it's not going to get done during the bubble. He said that everything that's going on with COVID-19 and there be no fans in the crowd and things like that, it's going to separate the boys from the men. And right now, um, Jermell Charlo looks like a man. He looks like a man amongst boys. I got to give him all the credit in the world. We look at his last two fights, right? Look at his last two fights. We're talking about Tony Harrison. We're talking about Jason Rosario. Two of the better fighters at 154 at the moment. Charlo showed that he's dangerous for all 12 rounds. He stopped them both in the back half of the fight. Rosario in the 8th, and I think Tony Harrison in the rematch was in the 11th, right? But then he's also showed in his career when he fought Eric Lubin to be able to stop guys in the first round. So Jermell Charlo, for a consistent period of time, is showing the ability to be dangerous from round 1 to round 12. And I got to eat some crow. I got to give him the utmost respect, the utmost credit, because I'm humble enough to say I'm wrong. I'm humble enough to come on here and not go into witness protection. Because I love coming on here when I get these predictions right. Like when I got Tyson Fury versus Wilder right, I love coming on here. When I got Angelo Leo versus Tremaine Williams right, I love coming on here. When I got Tony Bellew versus David Haye right, both times, I love coming on here. I've gotten a lot of fights right over the years, but when I get them wrong, I gotta come on here as well. It's part of the game. It's part of the game, and that's why it's the untouchable True School Sports Empire, because we have a lot of channels here on YouTube that when a fighter they like or when a fighter they picked loses, they want to make excuses. I'm not about that. Let's give Jermell Charlo his credit. Let's give Jermell Charlo his flowers, because he didn't just turn in a good performance. He turned in an exceptional performance, a great performance. I mean, and I haven't even got to it yet. I've been rambling for 6 minutes, but he ended the fight with a jab to the stomach. With a jab to the stomach. I'm sure it's happened before in boxing, but I can't really put too many fights to memory where a guy threw a jab to the stomach and knocked somebody out. I mean, he had Jason Rosario convulsing, and hope Rosario's okay. I was talking to I messaged his trainer, and I saw something on Facebook from his team. He's okay, but yeah, man, just exceptional stuff from Jermell Charlo. I talked a lot of shit. I said that Jason Rosario was gonna punch a hole through Jermell Charlo, but it was actually Jermell Charlo who punched a hole through Rosario. He folded him up like a blue steel chair, like The Rock, like Chris Jericho. And at this point in time, let's give him his flowers. He's the best fighter at 154. We're talking about a guy that's knocked out Tony Harrison. We're talking about a guy that's knocked out Jason Rosario. We're talking about a guy that's knocked out Eric Lubin in a round. We're talking about a guy that's being, a lot of good fighters. He's got a really, really good resume. And who will he fight next? I'm not so sure. They could go the Patrick Teixeira route because that's the only belt that he doesn't have for undisputed. So maybe Top Rank and PBC can work something out, and they can make that fight so that Jermell will have the opportunity to stamp himself as the true undisputed champion at 154. But if not him, Eric Lubin is obviously someone that we could look into. Lubin is obviously wanting that rematch. He's done a good job of rebuilding himself back to this point. So if he wants that shot, give it to him. You got him. You got Brian Castano, the dark horse of the division, Argentina's very own. He's gonna be a factor at some point. I think in what Charlo does with his career and who he fights next. Maybe you got him. You got Israel Madrimov who wants a world title shot. There's so many options for Jermell Charlo. His career is in a good place, and the scary part is he's maturing in a great way. I gotta really give credit for him, because I'll just be honest with you. I've thought the world of Jermall for quite some time. I've always thought Jermall was gonna be something. We'll get to Jermall in a separate video. But I was never really sold on Jermell. I was never really sold on him. The John Jackson fight, he was getting outboxed. He got outboxed in the first Tony Harrison fight. He was getting outboxed in the second Tony Harrison fight, but he showed the ability to knock him out in the later rounds. I wasn't really sold on Jermell, but this fight right here, this particular performance right here against Banana Rosario, I'm all in on Jermell Charlo. I'm all in on him. I believe in him, and I'm not picking against him for the rest of his boxing career, because this guy just shows that maybe people who hated on Jermell Charlo or who didn't believe in him at first, maybe he's right. Maybe everything Jermell is saying about himself is right. Maybe he isn't an emotional creature, as he would say. Maybe he just is a passionate guy, and it gets misconstrued as him being a emotional creature, So I fucks with Jermell Charlo. Good win for him. You know, shout out to Mr. Keep One in Your Mouth, Jermell Charlo. I'm looking forward to his next fight. He always brings the excitement, much like his brother. You know, and these guys, you know, in their own way, like, I think they're a breath of fresh air for boxing, because boxing, while it is quote unquote a gentleman's sport, it's still a sport where you got to fight. And these guys had that energy to where they're showing you that they're different types of savages. They don't want to be friends with nobody. They don't really give a fuck about, you know, they don't care about money as much. They really want to fight the best people out there, and they're showing that by how they're moving. So I got the utmost respect for not just Big Charlo, but Lil Charlo, Jermell Charlo as well, Mr. Ironman, Mr. Keep One in Your Mouth. So that's my assessment on the fight. Shout out to Jermell Charlo, the King 154. I'm eating crow. It's your boy BT. I was wrong, but yeah, man, I'm really excited to see where his career is gonna go. Hopefully, he can get that Patrick Teixeira fight. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. You know, we'll be live again for Ivan Baranchyk versus Jose Cepeda this weekend. And we'll be live, I'm sure, at some point during the week. I just got back home from Texas. I have a lot of work to do. So stay tuned for all the latest and greatest videos coming on here on True School Sports. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.
Showtime, Sean Porter.
It's Aerosmith Jr.
Everyone, this is Jesse Vargas,
You're watching True School Sports.
You're watching True School Sports.
and you're watching True School Sports.
Stay tuned.